First, buy a bottle of raw kombucha. It cannot be pasteurized, it needs to contain the live cultures. Synergy brand works well for example, but take the raw kombucha one, not the flavored ones. Then fill it into a 1-liter jar, 2 fingers broad for the height of it, and it's better to take from the bottom of the bottle to get some sediment with it. Then add a 1/4 teaspoon sugar. There will also be a little bit of sugar left in the kombucha that you bought. You can consume the rest of the bottle, but first stir your ferment, cover it with a cloth or coffee filter secured by a rubber band, and store it away safely. Then to grow your first SCOBY you need a little bit of patience. Just have a look at it daily if you can. There will be sediment developing, and sometimes it looks like it comes to the surface, turning into a SCOBY. Then it sinks again, but you will know when it's a real SCOBY. You'll see a SCOBY here in a bit. There's really no way to tell how long exactly it will take for your ferment to form a SCOBY. 10 days to a month should be within your expectations, but it could be outside that time frame. In my case here, I found that early stage SCOBY after 19 days, and only after 27 days I decided to make the tea for a new batch, because now the SCOBY looked thin but developed. For this about 1-liter batch, you need 2 cups of tea made with 2 tea bags of black tea, 1/4 cup of sugar, an additional cup of water, and the whole previous ferment, SCOBY and liquid. And here comes the new SCOBY. Wait for it. Now doesn't that look just delicious? Even now when it's slowly coming back up to the top. Here it is. I mean, let's face it, it looks disgusting. But if you are into fermentation and probiotic food and you know what it does for you, you'll appreciate it. And what it does first and foremost is it turns the sugar into micronutrients and probiotic cultures, and this is good for you. So it's not a sugary drink because the sugar disappears. It's basically food for the cultures. Not all of it disappears, but depending on how long you ferment it, most of it disappears. So put the cover on, let it sit for at least 7 days, actually for your preferred kombucha fermentation period. After that you can start making your preferred sized batch. For demonstration purposes I show it with a 2-liter batch. And this was made with 1 liter of black tea, with 4 bags of black tea, and half a cup of sugar dissolved into the tea. A liter of additional water. And listen, this is important. You cannot put your culture into hot tea or even warm tea. It has to be room temperature. So as a little trick, you can refrigerate the additional liter of water before you even make the tea. And then you don't have to wait the whole time until your tea gets to room temperature. Because let's say it has still 40 degrees Celsius, that's 104 Fahrenheit. When you now mix the tea with the refrigerated water, you end up at room temperature, roundabout. That is unless you're Mr. Freeze from Batman, then you want it more cold, but I think the kombucha cultures will not like to live at your place. Now look at that, that's the new SCOBY. It's more firm and thicker than when this batch was started. And now you just add it to the new batch along with 1 cup of the finished batch. And guess what's with the rest of the finished batch? That's the first self-made one that you can consume. Congratulations. Then you give it a stir, put a cover on and let it sit for at least 7 days or your preferred fermentation period. And to find out your preferred fermentation period, you can of course taste it. You don't want it sugary sweet, because then you may get some unhealthy effect of the unfermented sugar left within. But you sure don't want it like vinegar, which it becomes like after a fermentation time that is too long. Unless, of course, you want to use kombucha vinegar. And here just have a look at the SCOBY after a week of fermentation in the 2-liter batch. You see how a SCOBY always grows to seal the surface. Here's a tip in case you want to pause fermentation or not throw away a surplus of SCOBYs right away. You can store unused SCOBYs in the refrigerator in their natural habitat, which is kombucha. This sort of storage is called a SCOBY hotel. And this obviously means that what you see here on video must undoubtedly be the SCOBY Hilton. Now what did I naturalize in this video? Nothing, because the Synergy brand is really good. I would recommend it wholeheartedly, and I really don't know any other brands. But if you consume kombucha regularly, you can save a lot of money by making your own. What about the great-great-great-grandmother test? Well, even though most great-great-great-grandmothers in the world didn't know about kombucha, it still was around. It was invented more than 2,200 years ago during the Jin dynasty in China. So yes, it passes the test. Finally, to sum it up. While we can find perfectly great products in many shops, we can make our own, saving us a lot of money. Because it's an advantage to keep some funds in the back pocket when we are out to naturalize our food.